to Becky, and this video goes along with the PowerPoint that I did. The three articles that I chose were Paycheck Feminism, Gender Pricing Gap, and Fighting the War on Women. The first article is Paycheck Feminism, and the reason why I chose this article is because it enlightened me on how women are treated as second-hand citizens, and because women aren't given the same benefits that men are, even though they deserve it. Paycheck Feminism, the writer's main points, social insurance programs were made in the 1930s when only 10% of women actually made up the workforce. Back then, men were usually the provider and women were the typical stay-at-home mom and the caregiver. Nowadays, about half of all marriages end in divorce, and they gave us the statistics that means about 30% of women are ahead of their household. Alongside with that, now they have the responsibilities of a caregiver and either a part-time or full-time worker. Women make 79 cents to every dollar that a man makes. Women who lose their jobs are about 10% less likely than men to receive employment insurance, and women overall are also 12% less likely to have health insurance through their own jobs. Women also lose out on retirement. The average annual Social Security income of those 65 years and older is considerably less than men's. The poverty rate for women over the age of 65 is almost twice that of men's, which is 12% versus 6.6%. In Paycheck Feminism, how convincing were the arguments? The arguments were actually very convincing because they had the actual statistics from studies that came along with the article, and it opened my eyes to things that I didn't notice before, such as we truly are treated as second-hand citizens, and that we aren't as fortunate as men, even though some women work as hard or if not harder than men do. The important concepts of Paycheck Feminism were that they went into so much detail about women caregivers, letting us know that it is extremely difficult for them to keep a steady job because they have to have flexible hours to take care of their family members, as well as only working part-time because they need time to be given with their family members. With all of that, why is it fair for these women to only work part-time and then possibly pay for daycare and insurance, which is typically more expensive than men's insurance, and still provide the care and attention that their children or their family members need? The second article is Gender Pricing Gap, and the reason why I chose this article is because it opened my eyes to the huge difference that women pay for the same products versus men. The main points in gender pricing gaps is that we already get paid less than men, and on top of that, women are expected to pay more for the same products than men. Women end up paying more for dry cleaners, haircut, shampoos. Women pay more for products, services, and even clothing. The article states if two products are made by the same company and have the same ingredients, or if two services require the same work, or if two items of clothing have only a tiny difference, there is no excuse for charging women more than men. The article encourages women and even men to send in pictures of products, including the ingredients as well as the product's name and pricing, and send it to them so they can try to expose the disgraceful gender pricing gap. How convincing were the arguments in gender pricing gap? This article was obviously extremely convincing. They showed pictures of the same products, and women can pay a lot more for the same products as deodorant and shampoo. After reading it, when I was going into stores, I would actually go into aisles, such as deodorant aisles, and look at the different pricings. And I noticed the big difference in prices. Important concepts for gender pricing gaps. Women are making a little more than 3/4 to what a man makes. When you add that into the addition of paying more money than men, it puts an even bigger gap between men and women. Something obviously needs to be done about this, and people need to become more aware of it. They inform you of the issue, and they actually encourage people to take notice and send in pictures of products that fit the description so that they can actually make an effort in changing it. The last article is Fighting the War on Women, and the reason why I chose this article is because it taught me many things that I didn't know previously. The main points on fighting the war on women is a state bill was actually trying to require women to have a transvaginal ultrasound for women who were seeking an abortion. And this, on top of a woman having to get an abortion, is already traumatizing enough. It almost takes away her dignity. They're also threatening to take away birth control. And many women on birth control are not using it to prevent birth, but to help with health issues such as hormonal imbalances and cysts. The reason, or how convincing were the arguments? I'd say they were pretty convincing. A woman had ovarian syndrome and had cysts the size of tennis balls and eventually had to have her entire ovary removed. The only thing that could really help her was birth control. However, she didn't have any coverage on birth control, or insurance wouldn't cover it for her. Even nuns use birth control because of health benefits. They stated that 80% of them use it, and it's obviously not for trying to prevent birth. Important concepts on fighting the war on women. Why is birth control not covered? It gives women so many benefits, yet some places are trying to ban it and others won't cover it. However, Viagra-type medicine for men is covered for insurance, and that's only solely for one purpose, which is to have sex. Yet women's birth control can prevent pregnancy, but it gives us many more benefits, and they're not letting us letting our insurance cover it, or if insurance covers a little bit of it, they are trying to ban it, but they're not trying to ban Viagra, which is solely for one issue. And those are my 3 articles.